Welcome back to another episode of the Twistedtubz Podcast. I am your host, Stephen Tuberty, aka Twistedtubz. He is Tim Hourigan, aka Tim Hourigan Music. How the hell are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, buddy. How's things?
Good. I'm good. I'm very happy you came on the show, man.
Thanks for having me on. I'm delighted to be on. It's been a while since we've chatted.
Outside of like Christmas and maybe like drunken Zoom calls, it's been kind of like it's been a while since anyone's been in the same kind of relative vicinity with each other, which is fucking so stupid. Like, and you know me, man. I get my energy like Superman gets his energy from the sun. I get it from hugs. You know, I'm like Anakin falling to the dark side. I ain't getting that love no more, man. So I'm just like I can feel the darkness simmering. It's not good. The eyes are going to turn yellow. I'm going to start fucking killing younglings. You know.
Dark already.
Spoilers for anyone that hasn't seen a movie that was released in the early 2000s. You know, we're old. Yeah, I think you got that from the opening credits. Like, but yeah, man. So like, as I said, I'm delighted to have you on. So like, I was going to say, so I could be like, so Tim, what's your name? Look, it's no secret. Me and Tim been friends for years. We know each other a long time. We have a very, very long-gated history, if some might say. You know, we have taken down gods and we have shaved the rivers of sun. That makes no sense, but you know, we're allowed to talk bollocks, man. It's my podcast. I can say what I fucking want, right? Well, except for certain words. You know, we know that because we're older. But yeah, because like when I have someone on the show, Tim, I normally start the conversation off with asking them their origin story. So, what is Tim Hourigan's origin story? Now, I'm not asking like what you were like as a 2-year-old child. What I mean by that is how did you fall into the direction of like music and creativity and all that kind of stuff? How did that like kind of come about? When did you figure out like that was kind of what was plugged in up here, like?
Well, I suppose at a really young age, I started with the singing. That was about 10. And then when I was about 16, we had an acoustic guitar at home because my dad was always doing kind of singing and playing at, you know, weddings or whatever. So what's that, like the 90s? So back in the day when you could go to a pub, bring a guitar and sing a few songs. And, you know, I kind of admired that coming up as a child. And I kind of just got the bug really there. So I started learning guitar and singing and getting into bands and stuff. So I'd say a good 10, 15 years of gigging around Limerick anyway. Wouldn't say there's a pub in Limerick I haven't played at least once. And I just love music, you know. But of course, while doing all the singing and covers and all that, I was doing a lot of my own stuff as well, writing, you know, singer-songwriter stuff. And obviously I was big into, you know, video games growing up, and I loved my movies, you know, a big kind of a movie head, you know, growing up. Some of my favorite films were like Back to the Future and Die Hard and, you know, all those good classic ones that, you know, you just can't get that kind of cinema these days. And just from that, I just, some of the music that helped those scenes along was just kind of capturing me and sweeping me away. I just loved how you'd almost not be paying attention to it. You'd be watching the scene, but, you know, subconsciously you're hearing it, and it's, you know, it's bringing you to a place that you just get swept away with, you know. So kind of, I always planned on doing something better than just singing and playing on an acoustic in pubs and stuff, you know, because it's great playing and singing in pubs and making a few bob, but you're doing covers. But I guess I was getting a little itch of creativity, so I kind of, I'm at this now about 18 months. So about 2 years ago, I made the decision that I'm gonna get and set up my own home studio, you know. And as you can see, it's doing quite all right. We got, you know, the speakers, we got, you know, all the stuff. I spent a nice chunk of change, but look, it's something I want to do for the rest of my life. Whether I do gigs again in singing and playing guitar, it would be a different thing. But it's definitely the creative side of me is finally out, and I'm at peace and I'm happy with it, to be able to just turn my ideas into something and maybe apply them to film or a game or even short projects like we did with Marie Hourigan and all her college stuff, reflections and all that. But of course, I suppose the massive turning point, the tip of the roller coaster, the one that kind of sent me down, was obviously your film, Illusions. That was the big one. That's when I knew, look, this is definitely something I want to get into, which is being involved in film. And I think on Illusions I did a little bit of everything. I did the music, obviously, and we did a bit of camera work, a little bit of acting, terribly. But it was just a little bit of everything to get a taste of what it was like to, create, produce, and all that. And I was hooked, like the days me and you sat down, we were doing the score for it and everything. And you kept asking for a certain tone. I can't quite recall what that was.
Not sure. I think I was looking for something somber.
I think it was somber.
Was it somber?
I come up 1 or 2, 300 times.
and should I tell the audience that, like, anytime Tim asked me, like, what do you think of this piece, or like, do you think we should go this direction, I was like, can we go for something somber? And this was like, even in like scenes that didn't need somber, it was just, that was because I latched onto that word. And as Tim will tell you, Tim is a music guy. Now, you're a very visual guy, but your ear is always tuned in for that sound. As you mentioned a few minutes ago about hearing things and just watching, when you're watching movies or games, you're draining that sound into your head. I was always very much that visually. Watching a movie, watching how a scene cuts to one, like in dialogue scene, watching how a conversation flips between the camera, watching that 180 rule, things like that, and picking it up as I go. But going back to Illusions, man, I mean, and even for me, I very much learned from you as much as you learned from me on that movie.
Exactly. It was a springboard for two of us on that one.
It was. I mean, I know at the time I was more in tune with the film stuff than you might have been. Like, obviously in the process of it. But when it got to making the soundtrack, like, I was very much the Padawan in that situation. You were very much the teacher. I was just watching it and watching you create the magic and not learning how to play, but learning the process. And I thought that was so cool that I like not and it wasn't even, I don't even think it was a process of me sitting in going, I need to be in control of this entire thing. It was just this, I really want to see how you do this, and see if we can collab and kind of see if I can get some of my ideas, because I don't know what I'm doing regarding this side, but you very much did. And so it was nice for me to sit in and kind of just watch you kind of just put strings in and just take this out, put this in, and bring a sound up here, and Joe drop it out here. And I'm asking questions constantly. I was like, why would you do that? And you'd show me. It was such a cool process, man, which is what I loved about it, I think it helped that we'd been friends for a chunk of years before that, though.
Good couple of decades.
Yeah, Jesus. I mean,
we got old. I'm broken. I'm not broken, Tubbs.
And let's not forget, Tim, on that film, which is a feature film, by the way, you created not only the entire score, but an original theme song.
Yes. Yeah. Still, do you know what? I'll be honest. When it came to Illusions, I think I was blessed. The fact that I was there for most of the shoots as well, to see the tone on set and everything, because it kind of gave me a sense of how the pacing of the scene and all that is, and I got to see your directional side of it. So you got to see what kind of emotion you're trying to evoke in the scene as well. So we haven't seen that on the day of shoot when we're doing all of them. And then coming back then later on in kind of after the editing, we have a draft and all that, doing the music side, it made it a lot easier, you know what I mean? Because I know you were saying, give me song, but give me, all jokes aside, we did actually chat about them and say, look, what emotion are you looking for here? You're looking for terrifying, or you're looking for that little bit of suspense, or, maybe that little hint of hope or whatever in this scene, that something might be all right, or and I thoroughly enjoyed working on that one, to be fair. I mean, that was a big project. And we did it on this old girl here.
Yeah.
She's gone so old, the keys are yellow, but she's vintage.
Yeah.
She's vintage, was here.
I still have, believe it or not, all right, I still have. Do you remember the first camera we ever used? Remember, because it would have been me, you, and Natalie.
Yes. Yeah.
That went out and shot the first drafts of that movie. And it was the big super VHS with the hi-hat tapes and everything. I still have that upstairs. It's still up in my room.
You still have it?
I still have it, man. You know,
you can't,
and it still works. You know, I just won't get rid of it. You know, because for me, for someone else, it's just a camera, and they've moved on to digital and, you know, bigger cameras and so on. But for me, that's like, that began something. You know, that camera was the start of something. You know, so it stays there, which is always going to be the way. You know.
And that's kind of probably the same thing here. You know, you kind of look at it and go, do you know what? I made something on this keyboard, you know, and it was through a crappy laptop and a crappy little program to record and edit. It was so basic. And it was probably the same with you. Like your camera was like, I captured a whole feature film on this, you know. Stuff like that just kind of, you know, you kind of bond with the nostalgic or the sentiment, should we say, the value of it. You just can't part with them.
Do you remember the conversation with that? But do you remember the conversation about that film because when I started the concept of Illusions and we started kind of getting into the process of it and shooting it and stuff, man, I knew the cameras we were using. I knew this is never going to look like a film you see on like Netflix or something like that. You know, it's never going to look like that. So the story has to be on point. And then that was a big discussion. The soundtrack had to be a massive thing to really pull this thing out of the water. So, I mean, I give you hands down props, man. Without that score, that film would not have landed on with so many people the way it did. You know? And the fact that it's coming up on nearly 10 years since it's released, mental to think that.
Wow. 10 years.
Next year, man. 2022 is the 10-year anniversary from that Absolute Hotel screening. Which is,
I think it was Taylor.
It's madness. It's actually madness. Oh. And like, the reason I bring it up is we were supposed to shoot a prequel and a sequel arc to marry the 10-year anniversary, and then then COVID shut the whole world down. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then we just had to be, and then we had to be creative in our things, which segues me into my next question. Tim Hourigan music. We might as well get to the meat and bones of this interview, my friend.
The meat and
taters. What is it? When did it start? And what is the process behind it?
What would be? I suppose Tim Hourigan music. Well, I'm a film game composer. I suppose I would categorize myself. I wanted to compose orchestral pieces. Originally, I just wanted to learn how to get that whole cinematic kind of music applied to film, whether it be film or actually game. So I obviously said to myself, look, I'm going to have to start getting together the basic studio. I think at the start I had no MIDI keyboard. I think it was just a laptop and the interface and some headphones. And I was just going from there. I think that's actually how I only did The Devil's Company. So even though I was limited and I had only a free program, I think it was Studio One, I was learning and I was just getting so caught up in it. It was, I mean, you could bring in an instrument, you could bring in some strings, and you bring in a brass horn to carry a line, and I got lost in it. You know what I mean? I really got lost in it, and I was loving it. And the more I loved it, the more I invested in it, until, 18 months later, I have, a big TV, MIDI keyboards and studio monitors, headphones, and loads of plugins and samplers and all that. So it kind of started 18 months ago, and it's still going, I suppose, because at the end of the day, it's still a journey, But it's been there's a couple of tough days, and there's a couple of days where everything, the arrangement of something, but It's very much full time for me, Even though I'm kind of doing a Monday to Friday at work, I have like on my screen here, I have all the layout of what I do each day. So Monday to Friday has specific things where it's something to do with social media, or it might be get involved in another course on orchestral arrangement or mixing or anything like that. So this as well is very much a full time job, and as well, even though it's not turning over cash or money or whatever. The plan is to eventually, but I mean, just to get the experience and the knowledge first has been just absolutely amazing, Tubbs. You know what I mean? Just to get in there and try a few different things, especially off the back of Illusions. It kind of just snowballed from there, man. With Marie's college projects, with Reflections and Pontoon and all that. And those were really short, intimate kind of pieces, so it was nice to work on them. Then yours obviously was more like the horror thriller. I don't know if that would be the correct category for it, but it was.
Well, another... I've always kind of I've always placed Illusions in more of a psychological horror,
yes,
or psychological thriller, because it doesn't really have horror elements to it. It's very psychologically driven, if you get me. And I think it's more of a thriller than it is a horror film. I think the poster and all the things that because I mean, like there's violence, there's psychological moments, and there's
that's the what's called one, yeah.
Yes,
that poster, is it? Yeah.
That's, if you remember, this is what I mean. Yes. This is why I love doing these podcasts. Do you remember where and how we shot that poster?
I took that picture of you out the side of Slim's. Was it Slim's? I think it was. And we had the light on, you had your hood up, and you had your hand in a certain way, and you said just capture a certain side or whatever. Was it Slim's house? We were at someone's house. And it was
actually my old house in Devon Close.
Your old house?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was literally, was it a brick wall? It was just behind you. It was no more than 3 feet. So I was actually still inside the house taking the picture.
Like that. And wrote the name of the movie on the fucking hand. And the reason I ask you that is because it was because when you think back to these things and you're going over the pictures and the BTS and all these, like the things for because I mean, I have all the raws. I have all the raw files from the music, because obviously we both worked on it. So we both had to have those. But then you're finding, you go back nearly 8-9 years later and you're finding things. I was kind of going, I found the 12 or 13 drafts before the one we settled on. And some of them, I'd have to send them to you. Like, I was kind of going, oh my God, some of these just did not work like the way we wanted them to. And then you see that one, you're kind of going, wow.
That could be.
So yeah, man. So Tim Hourigan is actually responsible for the poster, not outside of the score. Well, so yeah, man, you did a lot of jobs in that movie. But getting to my next question, because
that's the thing, isn't it?
Because as I said, Tim Hourigan Music is your big project, and that's where your eyes and focus are right now. And as we were talking about my film and the process, I think we forgot to mention that I'm not the only actor, writer, director in the room right now. That'd be fair to say. Who's this guy? Who's this guy you're going? Mr. Hourigan has wrote, directed, and starred in his own movie and several others. So I think the question I'm leading into now is, how have you found not just my stuff working with me, because we've been friends years and we know each other kind of very well, and so we know the kind of processes we have. But the thing I'm asking is what was it like stepping into the shoes of Roigo, and stepping on the set of the Perished and Nihil and things like that, with people you kind of might not have been too aware of at the time? Well, process I'm assuming would have been different.
The Roigo one was Mike approached and says, I have an idea, and I have a good chunk of the draft written, and I think you'd be perfect for this character. So I called over to the house and we had a quick read. I was like, this is pretty cool, man. And we're talking sci-fi kind of drama, just a very kind of nice, niche sci-fi story. And I was like, okay, he was like, will you play the role? And I was like, I could give it a go, I suppose. Because again, it's nice to get involved. And I suppose everything with film is all about, helping out any way you can anyway.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
The relationships you kind of build, which I did obviously, meeting Celtic Badger Media with Neil and The Perished, which I still have to see. But on the rival side of it, it was another big one, because it was like, okay, he wants you to play the title character, and we chatted about how to portray it and all that, and it was a good process. Again, it was just another way to get into another project with a new angle. So again, I get to play the character, Rygo, and then after it was edited, of course, he comes to me and says, look, we now have to get a score that will suit it, something big. And I was like, okay, well, look, give me an idea of what you're looking for. Sound-wise, I mean, is there certain bands you like, or certain, old nostalgic films, or even current ones that, you might be able to pull a sound from? And he mentioned a good few of the nostalgic ones, like Escape from New York was one of them. And even the original Tron, and then off the back of that, it was like, listen to this album and listen to this album, and there was loads. I listened to this song, listen to that song. So I got to listen to them, and I was listening, going, okay, this is really cool. This is very different from Illusions. Illusions was all orchestral, horror-y themed strings and some intricate, like I think in your one we even put in, what was it? What you call it? Little dancing.
It was
God.
It's in the title credits. It's basically one of those wind-up boxes, jewelry box.
Where she's dancing, and when I saw that, I was just like, oh God, it's like, this ballerina's kind of sitting on top of a music box, and the first thing I thought was, it has to match, and it has to have enough space between notes to leave that emptiness and that tension. So this was a big flip then to the sci-fi, which was, let's get it driving with synthesizers. So okay, I was like, I'm all on board, because it was a new style project, and it was new instruments to experiment with. So again, there's my creative side of me. The thirst for that is quenched, and then we got stuck into it. And then, as I said, the reason you hold on to some old equipment is because, regardless of having this MIDI keyboard and all the VSTs and all the plug stuff, I still will not be able to replicate the Rygo theme unless I use this one, because in this one it had that certain sound and that certain sequence or arpeggio or whatever that drove the undertone of it, So yes, there was other, high synths, brass, whatever, but that low tone I could only get out of this, and I never settled for anything less. So there was that as well. Fast forward a few years later, I guess, and you're talking Devil's Company, and that's a military-based drama. So you were in that one, obviously. I was the writer, and I wouldn't go as far as to say director. I was definitely showing interest in how I would like certain stuff done, but I left it to the pros, which was Mike and Marie Hourigan, because obviously, this is their cup of tea. So it was let them kind of shoot the best way, even though I have an idea. I'll just pitch the idea to them and let them capture it the best way they can, because obviously there's certain kind of things that I wouldn't know, like the technical side. But again, on the day I said, like the first day, I think, was the torture of one of the characters in it inside the where. You remember that day?
I do. Very much so.
I can't believe it's all coming to life, They're no longer words on paper. So it was just the excitement. It was just absolutely washing over me, and I was just like, thank you so much, everyone, for just helping out now. And actually, where credit is due, right? It has to be said on your podcast, on the record, there is no better bugle for a film than Stephen Tubridy, because I think you hold. We did the tally later on. You hold the record for most character deaths in one film. You did all our extras where you got sniped in the head, kung fu thrown by Richie Lyons.
Yeah.
You had your neck broken in one scene as well. So
Yeah, I mean,
need to start, man. Good man.
I'm genuinely thinking. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I definitely think I hit like maybe the 6-7 mark throughout the entire process. I think Mikey was kind of. I think Mikey beat me though. I think Mikey had more. I had more on-screen deaths. Mikey had more on-screen cameos, I think.
He might have had the cameo. I think you still hold the deaths because
hands down.
It wasn't in the final edit. If you remember the one where we went to the big open field, you had to die 2 or 3 times there from sniper fire, and that's where we broke one.
How many guns did I break in the process?
Oh man, I'd say we lost almost as many guns as we lost Tubbses.
Yeah, it balanced out, man. It was a ratio game, like.
Well, look, it's part of the fun as well. You're gonna break it.
Oh yeah.
If you remember, we broke the shot is carrying to the tree line. Remember that shot?
Yeah.
We broke the shotgun, I think, on the second go. Happy with it, so we had to hold it in such a way, if you remember, and I had to throw it aside in such a way so it looked like it was still a whole shotgun or whatever, when in fact it was absolutely snapped down the back.
Actually, funny thing that you mentioned the guns there. I was going through because Tim dubbed me another nickname years ago because I was notorious for like always going around with a camera and having footage and constantly recording things. What was the name? What was the name, Tim? That you bestowed upon me?
Would also be known as the Archives.
Archives. So I took that and I do what I always do when someone gives me a nickname. I run to the fucking mountains with it. I'm like, I'm going to own this, you know? So I took it, but I was going through the archives the other night. As you do when you have so much fucking footage, you have to constantly back it up and put it in photos.
Like open a big vault door and just be like, oh
man, that shit's gonna fall out on top of my face, like, you know what I mean?
I figured as much.
But what I did find as we were on the subject of Devil's Co was I don't know if you remember the day I spent with you in your house, spraying guns, taking promo photos. I found all the promo photos and all of the video files of that. So I'll have to send them to you because that's BTS for your movie, like, right there. You know?
Fantastic. Yeah. That was Stenson. That was many houses ago.
That was my point exactly. Many houses ago. You know what I mean? But I came across it there and I put it aside. So yes, that will come to you very shortly, my friend.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah. I would appreciate that, man. Excellent.
But like as I said, we've gone through all of the things. As I said, look, just tell all the people where they can find you, man, on your social medias and so on, if they want to like check out your Tim Hourigan music.
What have I got? I think I'm pretty much on it. Nearly all of them, bar TikTok, I think. So if you want to find me, I would on Tim Hourigan Music on Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram, Twitter, and probably another one or two in there. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. I throw a lot of videos along with the soundtracks or pieces that because I do have projects that I'm working on, but between them I like to keep myself fresh and keep alternating between either an all orchestral piece for like an action movie or something, and then maybe 2-3 weeks later it could be a synth wave kind of 1980s retro feel or a hybrid. It could be a hybrid of both, which is kind of the end goal for me. It's kind of why on one side, I'm doing all the orchestral side, but I have synthwave stuff as well. So that side of it teaches me a lot of how to arrange and edit on the electronic side of things. And then obviously the hybrid, trying to bring it together, which is a big task, but so much fun to do because that's kind of my thing. So yeah, so it'd be Tim Hourigan Music on, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, Instagram, and if you're on the go, you can listen to me on SoundCloud. I think I have about maybe 8 or 9 tracks, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
8 or 9 is better than none at all, my friend.
Of course.
And
so look, if you ever have any, like for any of your viewers there, if anyone's got like an idea for a film, or they're like, I'm a singer and I want to sing to a track, hit me up. It's no problem at all. Just hit me up on timhouriganmusic@gmail.com, and I would be writers or directors or producers of any form. Because to be honest, actually, with the whole social media, I didn't do it a whole lot. You know what I mean? With phones and gadgets and stuff like that, I wasn't a big fan. But in the last 3 to 6 months, anyway, I've started to use it a lot more, and it's got me stuff that I never dreamt of. So currently, without giving too much away, I'm working with a writer from the States on a anime piece. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh, that's breaking news right there, folks. That's an exclusive on this channel right now.
And the teaser for that has actually been published maybe about 3 weeks ago. So right now we're still in development stage. He has 2 animators on the case over. So once that's done, it'll get shipped over to Irlande. And I'll get stuck into it. So,
as Tim knows, I am a grown man that very, very much loves cartoons.
Look, we may be growing up.
Yeah, not in height, in mind.
But we still have that the little kid inside us that loves our
we wouldn't be doing all this if we didn't. But look, come here.
Absolutely.
And this the whole point of why we do this stuff is because, I mean, we're both dads, we have kids, man, we got it, and we like to teach and bestow little nuggets. They don't really listen to us anyway, like, let's be honest, right? They never do. But we like to think we're bestowing bits of knowledge on them, and it is that thing. It's yourself, man. I mean, be Peter Pan for as long as you can. Do you know what I mean? You can play the keyboard, dance like a clown, do whatever you want, because at the end of the day,
absolutely.
The clock don't stop for no one, so you gotta just do what makes you happy, and I mean, it doesn't matter about the paycheck, you know what I mean? And look, that's the plus. That's the part that, like, if that comes, you're like, awesome. This was like so cool that I got this out of what I love to do. But if you're doing what you love to do, then that's already a win in itself. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. So Tim, we've come to the end of this interview, my friend.
Well, I thank you kindly for having me on, my good sir.
No problem. But as I said, look, folks, Tim Hourigan Music, check this guy out. He's a talented motherfucker, right? He's been making music for as long as I can I can remember, and as long as I know him. He's been singing songs. I've requested Californication so many times. Chili Peppers, Californication. Play it, Tim. Do it now. You're on my podcast. No. But all jokes aside.
He's in the shop.
But no, look, come here. Look, you've been killing it for years, and I'm so happy to see you dig in now and really put the focus in and drive, man. You know what I mean? You can tell, even talking to you now as an older version, that it has. We've all spoken. I mean, how many times, like, I'd be always talking about movies, and then something sprung in my brain in 2015, and I just ran for the hills. You seem to be doing the very same with it now. So this makes Tubz very happy, Tim. This makes him very happy to know this. To see you really dig in, and I'm proud as hell of you, man, because it's, you know yourself, man. Creative thing. It's what did I say? It's hills and valleys, man. Do you know what I mean? You get good days and bad days, but it's the journey.
Absolutely.
Keep sticking out that journey, my friend.
That's just it. I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So.
But if you can run an extra few
feet,
without the legs buckling up, you know what I mean? Put in an extra few steps. Do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe not so much.
But on that note, right, because we know each other so much that we will ramble for the entire night if there's no off switch and call full court, But yeah, look, Tim, thank you very much for coming on the channel and having just a chat with me. I mean, the world is crazy at the moment. We can't physically get in the same room, but we can definitely do this more often. And I would love to have you back on again to just shoot the shit and talk about stuff that we do, because there's probably things that we didn't mention on this show that we have done together that we could probably do in another episode down the road. But look,
that's just it, yeah.
This guy, right, Tim Hourigan Music, check him out. He's a talented bastard. That's not a bad word. That's what we say to each other. You know what I'm saying?
That's how we roll.
That's how we roll. He's a talented dude. Check him out. Music's fantastic. I promise you'll enjoy it. But Tim, you gotta go, man. I hate it. I hate saying goodbye to anyone because I gotta stop talking, and everyone knows
You're
me.
so friendly. You love talking.
Yeah, I love it. I love to talk. You know, I can't hug, so I gotta talk more. But I gotta say goodbye. We gotta say goodbye. It's just the way it is, friends. It's the way it is. So on that note,
I'll see you, my friend.
and on that note, Tim, on that note, this is the Twistedtubz Podcast. I am Stephen Tuberty, aka Twistedtubz. He is Tim Hourigan, aka Tim's Music. Something. Tim Hourigan's music. That's what it is. I fucked it up, but you know what I mean. But yes, I get so wound up and hyper. Tim Hourigan's music. Check him out.
I love your energy. I can see it. You're like, whoa.
And it goes off on tangents, and people like this is the one thing. All right, I'm going to say it before we go. I can do an intro. I can have a conversation. I can banter back and forth. I cannot end a video to save my life at the moment. I'm still learning on the fly. I should have a catchy slogan, right? Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, and then just hit the stop button. But you know what? I just gotta keep it going because I love this guy, what he does, and I love all you guys for checking it out. So on the flip side, thanks for being here, and me and Tim will catch you on down the road. That way.